Okay, so I'm just going to make a video to explain how to make the graph in Google Sheets that I was expecting, because several of you had trouble with this. So what I've done first is I've just taken the data from the document and just pasted it into Excel, into this spreadsheet. So what I need to do in order to make a chart is, first of all, I highlight the data that I need, and then I go here to Insert and select Chart, and then this chart will appear. Now, some people just left it at that. Just went, okay, I'm done, finished. Okay, this chart as it is not really ideal. So this line here, for example, is just kind of going wiggly point to point, which is not what we want at all. Also, in this case, it's actually placed the axes around the wrong way. What I really want is the time on the x-axis, and I want the temperature on the y-axis. So things are not entirely right. I'm also not in love with this title. So let's try and fix some of these things. So over here, the chart editor is opened and I've got setup here. So the first thing I'm going to do is change it here from line chart, because I don't really want that line. And what I'm going to do is use this suggested one, which is a scatter chart. You can also scroll down here to where it says scatter and check that one. All right, then I've got some extra options here. This is my x-axis, and it's telling me that for the x-axis it's using from B2 to J2. So B2 here across to J2, which you can't see, and then for the series, which is the y-axis, it's using B3 to J3. So because those are around the wrong way, I'm just going to switch those around by clicking on it here and then selecting the other one. So now I can see that the data here now is for the temperature on this axis and it's for the time on this axis, although the labels are still the wrong way round. We'll fix that in a minute. Okay, so that's all right there. I'm reasonably happy with that. So what I'm going to do next is click on here, Customize, and then I can change many other things which I don't like right now. So if I click Customize, I'm just going to start with the top one, which is Chart Style. So in here, we can change the colors. I think most of that is okay. So I'm going to close that one again, and then Chart and Axis Titles. So here, I can fix this title. I can also change the names on this axis here. So first of all is Chart Title, and it says here, time in seconds versus temperature in degrees C. I don't really love that. So I'm going to change that to time versus temperature, like that. I can also, if I want claims the alignment, I'm just going to move that into the center because I think that looks nicer. Then I can change from chart title to horizontal axis title, which is this one. So this one, it says temperature in degrees C at the moment. This one is supposed to be the time. So I'm going to delete that and type time in seconds, like that. And then do the vertical one. This one says time and is meant to be the temperature. So I will change that one to temperature in degrees C, like that. So that's fixed my axes. I think I've got everything around the right way. So I'm done there. Okay, series here. This is the data one series, so just leave that as it is. The color is okay. I don't really love those circles, so I'm going to change that and change it to the X mark. So that's nice, but now they're a bit small, so I'm just going to make those a bit bigger. Okay, that's looking reasonable, so I'm going to leave that how it is. Now, if we look down here, we can see that there's something here called trend line. Now, if I click that one, then this straight line will magically appear. Now, in this case, the data is supposed to be a straight line, so I'm going to leave this set on linear. But if your data is meant to be a curve, you can change it here and you can pick one of these ones, or you can try all different ones and see which one fits best. But this one is meant to be a straight line, so I'm just going to leave that as linear. Okay, if I want, I can change the color, or I can change how transparent it is. So that looks okay. All right, also, I can choose here label. At the moment, it says none. But if I check here and I click use equation, it will then give me the equation for the line. So here we should know from mathematics, hopefully, that the equation of a straight line is y is equal to mx plus c. So this number here in the front is the gradient, and this number here is the y-intercept. So the gradient is 1.03 and the y-intercept is 28.5. So I asked you to work those out, so you can just literally get the spreadsheet to work it out for you, and that will tell that. So I'm going to leave that there for the time being. This one, which says show r squared, if I want, I can show that. And that just shows how good a fit that is. So you can see that it's going through most of the data points. This one's a little bit away, which is why this isn't exactly one. If this is exactly one, it means it's a perfect straight line, but very close to one is very good. So I can just turn that off again, and that shows you how good that is. All right, so I think I'm done with that part. Legend, that is just this little thing. That's position auto. I'm going to move it to inside, then it goes on top of the graph and makes the graph a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to write down what those values are in a minute, and then I'm going to make it disappear. So I will change it and select it to none. But I need to write those values down first. So I'm done with that one. On my horizontal axis, I can click that, and the label is already okay. But if I look at my axes here, you see this last point is right on the edge of the graph. Really, I'd like to have just a little bit of space on the end here. So what I'm going to do is change these min and max values. So if I put my min to be 0, that's right, because I want the origin here, but my maximum value, I'd rather it was a bit bigger. So I'm going to change it to 55. Okay, and then you can see that just gives me a little bit of extra space from where my last point is. That is all okay. And then I can do the same thing on the vertical axis. So I will change my minimum here to be 0 and my maximum to be 90, just to give me a little bit of extra space. So you see now my graph fits on a bit better. It just looks a bit nicer. Okay, that's all good on that one. And then the last one here says grid lines and ticks. So we don't need to use those, but I'm just going to use here. So I've got major grid lines automatically set, and I'm going to select minor grid lines. That's just going to give me some extra lines here. And then I'm also going to select major ticks and minor ticks, which just gives me some markings on the axes. It just makes it look a bit nicer, and also is easier to find if you need to see what the data point is. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do the same on the vertical axes. Okay, so I'd say that's pretty good. So I'm going to close the editor there. Now I'm just going to write down what the gradient was. So the gradient is equal to 1.03, and then the y-intercept is equal to 28.5. So I've written those down. Now if I want to edit the chart again, I can just double click on it and the editor should come back. And then I'm going to go to where it said legend, and I'm going to set that to none because I don't really want that there. Now I've written down the data, it's all good. So I can close that again. Now I also said, can you explain what this gradient and what this y-intercept means? So the gradient is how much the temperature goes up each second, because on the y-axis here we've got temperature in degrees C and the time here is in seconds. So the gradient is the rise divided the run. So it is how much the temperature increases each second. Like that. And then the y-intercept is 28.5. So that is the initial temperature, or the temperature it started at, or probably the room temperature. Okay, now I've done that, I am pretty much finished.